Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of Addiction Mindset Recovery Coaching, where we help people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. In today's video, we're going to do a review of fentanyl laced carts or marijuana laced with fentanyl, and we're going to take a closer look at this. So, if you smoke carts, especially black market ones, I think this is worth paying attention to. So, a simple Google search, if you type in laced marijuana or fentanyl laced marijuana, is going to bring up a series of articles. Now, a lot of the articles that you're going to see are going to be similar to this, where you're looking at some type of police report where there's someone who was found related to an overdose. Here you have one of the people died. They were given Narcan, and it suggests that the marijuana was mixed with opioids. That's what officials are reporting. Now, let's kind of go through this a little bit. So, I mean, first of all, what's fentanyl? Fentanyl is an opioid, and people would say, well, why would anyone mix fentanyl with anything? Well, fentanyl is absurdly cheap, okay? And it's very, very, very accessible. And it's also highly addicting. So, from a dealer standpoint, to a small extent, especially if you're peddling a bunch of black market stuff just all over the states, yeah, fentanyl could, in theory, make sense. Now, this is one article like that. Here's another article where they talk about actually CBD products being laced with fentanyl. And this one's interesting because I've had 2 or 3 clients now call my offices. One of them got like a CBD product out of a vending machine. Another one bought an oil tincture offline, and they got really, really sick. I don't know what they got sick with, but they got really, like violently ill off of these products. Now, when we look at this here, they're talking about a story in which this person slipped into a coma. They went to a hospital. They were hooked up to breathing machines. They had acute respiratory failure. And it turned out that the CBD they were vaping was laced with fentanyl. Now, the Associated Press did an investigation into this story, and it's kind of crazy here. What they found was that almost 40% of these CBD cartridges contained synthetic marijuana or spice K2, whatever you want to call it. So 40% contains synthetic marijuana. That's crazy. That stuff is terrifying. I've talked to people who have done other substances, and a lot of them say synthetic marijuana was one of the worst experiences they ever had, like horrible experience. They found here too that it was in Mississippi specifically that they were finding fentanyl in some of the products. So, okay, this is another story where we talk about fentanyl. Here we have another story. This was in April 4/22/21 in upstate New York, according to multiple news outlets, according to this county sheriff's office. They confiscated marijuana in a Walmart parking lot that tested positive for fentanyl. Now, here's the deal. So I don't know how much. Let's just take another look at a story. Oh, okay. We'll go into this one shortly. So I don't know how true all of that actually is. And this article here kind of breaks that down a little bit, saying, listen, we got to get rid of this myth that fentanyl is something that's being used to lace marijuana with. This story breaks it down and says more likely what's happening in some of these cases is the person who's preparing the marijuana also sells fentanyl and cocaine and other drugs, and maybe in the production and packaging of these products, they were all mixed together on the same table or on the same surface. And remember, you only need a little tiny bit of fentanyl for it to be a major, major, major problem. So they're saying, listen, no one would really be doing this. And if anything, if people are lacing heroin or opioids or fentanyl with marijuana, this is a white horse. This is something that you're not going to see. This is something that makes no sense. Something that we're not going to see. They said, if anything, yes, synthetic marijuana is much more likely than it being fentanyl. And, you know, it's interesting too, because when you look into this, a lot of these police reports that you're seeing that I showed you were later debunked. They were later demystified. So they would come out back from a lab and say, yeah, you know what? We thought it was fentanyl, but it actually wasn't. Now, the general public doesn't get to see that side of the story, though. You only get to see the headline that says fentanyl killed someone. It was found in marijuana. So, okay, here's what I think. And I think this is more important. And this is what I think you should be paying more attention to. If you're buying black market carts, so unless you're walking into a medical dispensary and purchasing it, assume it's black market. Okay. If you're here in New York and you're here in these other places where you don't have it legally, recreationally, assume it's garbage. What I think you should be more concerned about is the pesticide content in it, the vitamin E acetate, and the other things that they use to cut these products with. And even more so, I think you should be concerned with the amount of THC that you're consuming, because guys, we're seeing really bad things happening to people off of just pure THC, high concentration THC. So this article here, I brought this up before in the past. Here's an article where they're talking about bootleg marijuana carts. And, here's a young gentleman who couldn't breathe. He was hooked up to vents. This is when all the people died from vaping, which really just turned out to be the black market THC cartridges, predominantly from the vitamin E acetate. But this group did testing on 10 products, some medical grade, some black market. And you can see here, the medical grade ones all came back great. No pesticides, no vitamin E acetate, and it had the amount of THC it claimed to have, which again, I'm going to argue to you guys can still be dangerous. We have a lot of people call our offices who are absolutely crippled right now by THC addiction. And then we have the black market products. You can see here all of the pesticides that were found in these products, all of the vitamin E acetate that was found, barely any THC. And this was in dank vapes. I smoked dank vapes. These things, they slapped, if I'm going to use terminology and be relatable here. What was getting me high? If I was only consuming 20 something percent THC, what was getting me so screwed up? And then that leads into my next concern for you guys who consume this stuff. We talk a lot about cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome and things like that. But really, I think one of the arguments or one of the things we need to start looking at is, are you experiencing long-term pesticide exposure? And is that long-term pesticide exposure creating some serious health consequences for people? I believe it is. So right here we have, this was from OSHA. And this is just symptoms that you might see if you've experienced alcohol or pesticide poisoning: vomiting, excessive salivation, coughing, that constricted feeling in the throat and the chest, abdominal cramps. Blurred vision is huge, guys. I get this all the time from people with pesticide poisoning. Blurred vision is huge. Rapid pulse, sweating, profound weakness, trembling, muscular incoordination, mental confusion. Could this be the psychosis that we're seeing? Could this be the cannabinoid hyperemesis syndromes that we're seeing? Nausea, diarrhea, weakness, fatigue, restlessness, irritation of the skin, headaches, messed up pupils, loss of reflexes, the uncontrollable muscle twitching. Absolutely something I was experiencing towards the end. I don't know if it was from the energy drinks. I don't know if it's from the nicotine. I don't know if it was from this. It's really hard to say. And yeah, there was days I felt like I was going to die. There's no question about that. So the question becomes, look, it's not often that people are inhaling pesticides in a workplace because these people are wearing masks and all types of safety equipment. And unfortunately, you guys might just be inhaling this at free will based on something that you're addicted to. And I think it gets even scarier because not only are you inhaling pesticides, but what else is in there that's making it so addictive? And I wonder then, here you are and you're quitting. So now you're going through potentially a pesticide detox. You're going potentially through some other, you're going through THC detox and THC withdrawals. And maybe in some rare cases, we're also seeing people go through something that's more like an opioid withdrawal. They have found nicotine in these products. So maybe you're also going through a nicotine withdrawal. So this is why I think it's so hard for people to come off of black market CARTS and black market THC products. Guys, this stuff is no joke. If you're struggling with this, please review the free course in my video description. Call our offices, get help. Work with our offices one-on-one. Get help for this. This is not just a weed addiction anymore. This is serious stuff, and I think we need to start to spread some light on this topic and get people the help they need. I hope this video helps you guys out. Why don't you follow me into the next video where I talk about how smoking CARTS almost killed me. I'll see you guys there.